Hello, welcome back to my haunted library. It's Regina. So today is just a little bit of a catch-up video. We are fully in the spooky season and I love it. The weather here in my neck of the woods just started turning a little crisp and cool and it's wonderful. I was just down the shore for a few days. We love to go down to the shore. We go to Long Beach Island, New Jersey during off season when the rents are cheap and you can bring your dog. In fact, the motel we stayed in was just like everyone had their dog, so it was kind of fun. I did pick up a book at the shore. I haven't started this one yet, but this is called Ghost of the Jersey Shore by Linda Lee Macken. And I think she's a local author because it's signed and it came with a nice little bookmark. So I will check this out. I love Long Beach Island. I think people do tend to stick with the shore that they grew up with, which was my case. It doesn't have a boardwalk. It doesn't have that like MTV Jersey Shore feel to it at all. It's very quiet and laid back and some very old Victorian homes with cedar shingles and just that kind of very laid back vibe. So I love it there and I love going when there's no one else around. It's the best time. So I haven't really been reading that much this month, but I did finish Flesh Gothic by Edward Lee. This was the first book I read by this author. This is a leisure book from 2005. And I just see here the dedication is for Michael Slade, an utmost inspiration. I have read at least one Michael Slade book. So Edward Lee got his inspiration from Michael Slade. This would be considered extreme horror in that it's very sexually graphic and explicit. So this is from Jack Ketchum, who's also considered an extreme horror author. Edward Lee's writing is fast and mean as a chainsaw revved to full tilt boogie. It's a pretty cool description. Lee pulls no punches, the hardest of the hardcore horror writers. A true master of the horror novel. Okay, so this is kind of a mixture of The Haunting of Hill House with like extreme porn, I guess I would say. It's as if Haunting of Hill House was a porn movie or story. We might get something like Flesh Gothic. And it's really kind of a fabulous name too. But Hildred House isn't like other mansions. One warm night in early spring, 14 people entered Hildred House's labyrinthine halls to partake in diabolical debauchery. That's for sure. When the orgy was over, the slaughter began. The next morning, 13 of the revelers were found naked and butchered, dismembered, mutilated, but the 14th body was never found. So this does start off with this like wild, violent, over-the-top orgy scene. In fact, when I started this a few weeks ago, I was reading that opening scene and there was one part where I kind of laughed and screamed at the same time because it was so over the top, but it was so disgusting, where a woman had her arm, one woman gets her arm chopped off and then another woman starts pleasuring herself with the chopped off arm, or maybe it was her own arm and she was using the good arm. I don't remember, but it was just really crazy. So this rich owner of this mansion named Reginald Hildreth, I think, stages this incredibly bloody orgy because he's bought this porn company. I think it takes place in Florida. I kept thinking as I'm reading it, it was LA, but now I think it was Florida. And it's this old Gothic mansion. So I love that aspect of it. So he buys this porn company and because he's extremely wealthy, and he hires all the porn performers to do porn one night. They've been doing it all along, but he hasn't been selling the DVDs. He just kind of keeps them for himself. And some of them are very extreme. So after this big orgy, everyone is slaughtered in a very grotesque way. So the opening scene is that. And then the rest of the book is this group of investigators, like mediums and psychic investigators, come to the house to kind of figure out. One of them is hired by the widow, but we're not sure if he's dead, or Reginald Hildreth, if he's dead or what happened to him. He's hired to investigate what happened, and if anything else is going to happen there. So when these mediums and different psychics arrive, they feel all this crazy energy, to put it mildly, from this house. And then, without giving too much of it away, there's sort of this portal, a psychic portal into this like world of demons, and of course they have some very nefarious plans up their sleeves. So it's so that's basically the story, and it kind of jumps from point of view to point of view, which is the thing that I didn't like about it. I kind of wanted more of a central protagonist. When story head hops a lot, I kind of get a little lose interest for whatever reason. Some people like that, but I always find a little taken out of the story because it follows like one psychic, and then it kind of gets into her experience, and there's a lot of kind of supernatural sexual assault going on, if I can put it that way. So yeah, I mean, there were some parts that I've said this before. One reason why I don't really enjoy extreme horror, it's not because I can't take it. It's kind of because it makes me laugh a little bit, or it takes me out of the story with some over the topness. But I found this to be like really Baroque in a way, like very Gothic. So I actually enjoyed it. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. I would definitely read another Edward Lee. It was entertaining on a certain level, that's for sure. So one thing I wanted to talk a little bit about today is there was an announcement, and I'm sure it's made its rounds already. I'm just getting to this a little late, unfortunately, because I've been out of town. And that is that Cam Wolfe, one of our favorite booktubers, author tubers, has released the pre-order for this baby right here. We're Not Home, a horror anthology. Cam edited it, and I have a story in it, and so do a lot of other booktubers and author tubers. So I'm very excited to share this, and I'm going to post the link for the pre-order, which is already in effect. You can pre-order it. I've already pre-ordered my digital copy. So the theme of the anthology is horror, travel, vacation, and all of the stories fit that theme. So we have 13 of the internet's most twisted minds. Well, that's true. I count myself among those, and I'm very proud to be part of that list. Bring you We're Not Home, a collection of travel and vacation-themed horror. A mysterious town on the edge of nowhere, a hotel with walls as red as blood, a plane that landed without its passengers. Pray that your next trip is not your last. Planes or trains, sandy beaches or endless highway, blacktop, nowhere is safe when you're far from home. So I'm very excited to be part of this anthology. I'm going to list all the channels that have stories in this anthology below, so you can check them out. And I started reading through the draft copy. I was sent a draft copy, and the stories are really good. So I'm very excited to be part of this. I'm really excited to have it come out so I can get myself a print copy, or maybe even a hardback copy, because Cam may be doing that. I have to check. But yeah, that should be coming out October 20th, which is this week. So make sure you check that out or pre-order it if you'd like. So my story is called The Starlit Suite. It is about a young Instagram influencer wannabe, and she comes to Hollywood to make her mark in the big time, at least in her mind. And she stays in this very old dinosaur of a Hollywood hotel that has a lot of ghosts from the Hollywood Golden Age, including a Jean Harlow kind of era starlet who is trapped in the suite that she stays in. So you can read what happens there. So all of these are horror stories or ghost stories of some sort, and just reading through them, the anthology is really good, and Cam did a great job putting it together. So again, I'll link it below and check it out. My anthology, HorrorTube anthology, is coming out very soon as well. That will be out in December. The pre-order will start soon. I will have a video, if not at the end of October, definitely at the beginning of November, about that project. It's called Served Cold. I'm going to do a cover reveal and a whole thing. So that is coming up. I've been working on that as well, which is why I've been also busy. Plus, I've also been writing my new novel, Carney. So I am in the home stretch of that novel. part of what I was doing down at the shore, well, I say I was researching, but to me, walking on the beach and thinking about my novel is researching. So I was doing a bit of that because it takes place in New Jersey, South Jersey, a little bit down the shore, a lot on the Delaware River. And that, like I said, I'm nearing the 60,000 word mark, and I plan to finish that book as my NaNoWriMo project. So it'll probably be a little longer than some of my other novels. I hope I can kind of explore more during NaNoWriMo and really make that a solid novel, and that will be coming out in the new year. So what else did I want to talk about? Oh, I saw Netflix's Midnight Mass, the horror series, and I absolutely loved it. That was by Mike Flanagan, who directed the Haunting series, and I watched the first season of that. That was really wild. It was like family therapy on steroids. This one, I liked that, but this one I really loved. So the series is about a small, isolated island community whose existing divisions are amplified by the return of a disgraced young man and the arrival of a charismatic priest. So we haven't had like that I can recall, a good Catholic horror in many years. So I really ate this one up. So despite the fact that I am a Catholic, I really enjoyed this series. And I have a feeling, especially with the name Flanagan, that the filmmaker is also, at least was raised Catholic, because it was so many specific things. I was watching it with my husband. He was also raised Catholic. We were singing the hymns together. We knew all of it. And it didn't offend me, I guess is my point. In fact, I thought that this series really, one thing I really loved about it is it didn't use religion as we see in some dramas as sort of the typical evil force, you know. I mean, there's been a lot of eroding of those institutions in the popular culture, let's be honest. And whatever you believe, I'm not here to discuss religion. I never do that on my channel, nor do I ever discuss politics. I'm not going to start now. But this story, I felt, went very deep because it really did deal in a lot of ways, even though it was a horror, and it really is a full-out horror story. And I love that about it too. But it really deals with some deep themes of faith and of God. And each one of the characters is kind of at a different place with that relationship to God and their own struggle with their faith, or whether it's blind faith, as in the case of the deaconess, which was a great character, or the lapsed Catholic in the young man that returns to the island in a state of disgrace and guilt and trying to navigate that horrible burden by, rejecting his faith that he was brought up in, which a lot of people do, and kind of rejecting it and thinking it maybe is a little bit like, this is my parents, they're pretty ignorant. I'm a man of the world now, and I know what I'm talking about. Well, now, because of some horrible thing that he did, he has to go back and then kind of confront that. So it's very clever how each of the major characters, and even the minor characters, were all at a crux of their own faith and their own struggle, which makes for great drama. And I loved the actor who played the charismatic priest. What's his name? Hamish Linklater. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, but wow, he was great. And nothing like a charismatic priest, I just have to say. I've met a few charismatic priests, like Jesuits who, with a beard and just like really full of masculine energy. And you're like, whoa, it's a priest? Yeah, he was great. And like I said, it didn't make fun of religion. I come from my own very strict Catholic background and have gone through a lot of like questioning and all that stuff. And I actually wrote a short story about a priest, and it's called Father Angelo. It's included in my book of poems, Remembering the Dead. And I kind of got into that charismatic priest character in that short story, and also some ideas about faith. So I loved this. In fact, I'm probably going to watch it again, but I have to say, it took me a while to get into it. We were watching the first episode, and there are a lot of long monologues, and when there was a scene on the beach, and it kind of is like a scene of like a plague. There's a lot of biblical things in this series too, which is another reason why I want to watch it again, because I know there was a lot that I missed. And during this kind of plague scene, the camera starts spinning in like this exaggerated Alfred Hitchcock 360 spin, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? I don't know if I can watch this thing. This is really ridiculous. Like, I was really turned off by the first episode, and my husband was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to keep watching this, but I started seeing so many positive reviews for it that I'm like, okay, let's stick it out. And we were so glad that we did, because it's excellent. And it's also a great lesson in storytelling, because you really get to know the characters and really get to care about them. And each one, like I said, is going through a struggle. And when the priest arrives, I'm not, there's so many twists. I could never give out any spoilers on this one, but miracles start happening. And this is all in the trailer, so I'm not giving anything away there. So it's clever the way the story's told. And when things really fly off the rails in the final episodes, you care so much about the characters that even if some things maybe kind of are a little bit, hokey or whatever, you don't care, because you love the characters. So I love this show. I highly recommend it to all of you. It wasn't as good as Dark. It's very different, but I really liked it. And the creators of Dark are actually coming out with a new series, and I can't wait for that to happen. So I was catching up on my BookTube video watching this weekend. I watched Cameron Chaney's video. He did a vlog about going to like harvest festivals around his town and looking at Halloween decorations. I'll link it below. It was really great. And it really inspired me to do the same thing. So today I decided I'm going to take a little day trip, because I had the day off and it's a beautiful day. I'm going to take you guys along with me to a place called Peddler's Village. It's a lovely shopping, like outdoor shopping place. It's been there forever. In fact, my first job was working there when I was a teenager, so it's been there forever. So they have this thing called Scarecrow Village that I want to show you, and it's all different scarecrows that have been set up in displays outside at this place. So I thought we would take a little road trip today, so I hope you stick around for that. So I'm just going to play that at the end. So thanks again for stopping by my haunted library. I hope you're having a great spooky season, and I will see you soon. Bye.